In this section, we discuss about the service value chain, which is the operating model of ITIL. And I would like to start with a short introduction. A few words about the purpose and the objective of having a service value chain in the first place. As you remember from the previous section, from the previous videos, the value chain should provide an operating model for any organization. So every organization should have a service value chain. Remember the example that I gave you in the previous videos. If you imagine the organization or the value system as a car, as a vehicle, then the value chain would be the actual engine, allowing you to move from one place to another, actually producing value in our case. So it provides an operating model for the organization by describing the key activities required to respond to demand or opportunity and to create products and services, which in turn will deliver value to the consumers. And to be more exact, there are 6 activities contained within the service value chain, and we will discuss about them in the following slides. Each activity has a contribution to the value chain, can be used one time or multiple times within the value chain, and each activity will transform specific inputs into outputs, just like a process, just at a higher level than processes. So just like in case of processes, you have specific inputs, which could come from another activity or could come directly from outside the organization. And these inputs will be transformed into outputs. This is how the value chain activities work. Okay, let's see which are the 6 activities included in the service value chain. The activities are engage. Now, just in a few words so that you have an understanding about the purpose of this activity, engage is our interface with the outside world. So every interaction, every exchange of information with the outside world, which could mean consumers, suppliers, or other stakeholders, should go through engage. So for example, if you have a customer complaint, it goes through engage because it comes from the outside. If you have something to notify to your consumers or to your users, it has to go through engage because that's the interface. So engage is about communication and exchanging information with the outside world. Another activity, an important one, is plan. Whenever we need to think about the future, to define new objectives, to set up plans, we need to activate this particular activity. We need to initiate plan. So plan is not happening very often, but it's very important. You don't make plans every day, but when you make plans, you really need to be very organized and structured about how you make those plans. And this is why plan is defined as a value chain activity. Another important activity in the value chain is called design and transition. And this is used whenever we get requirements for a new service. For example, when we have to develop a new service. Well, before starting to develop the service, we need to understand and define a specification and make a design. And this is the purpose of this activity. And once the design is made, we need to make sure that the new service is actually implemented, and that's the transition part. This is why it's called design and transition. The first part, it's about designing new services, and the second part, it's about making sure they actually end up in the production environment and they actually get to deliver the value that we promise to our customers. Another important activity is called obtain or build. Now, depending on what we have decided already in the design activity, now we have a list of specifications and we need to procure the required components for the new service. And we either purchase them, or if this is what has been decided in the design activity, we build them. For example, we might have software developers writing code, developing applications which will be part of our future services. But the decision is taken already in the design activity. Now it's just the execution part. The obtain or build activity takes care of the execution. And then we have deliver and support, and this is the operational phase. This is what happens once the service is ready, it's in the production environment. What exactly should we do here? Well, we should make sure that the service actually works within the parameters. We should make sure that we monitor, that we support the service, we take care of any incidents, we solve any user requests that we might have. We take care of access management and make sure that only the right users have access to the service. This is the operational part of the service. And then another important activity is improve, and this is the activity that we initiate every time we need to make an improvement. When we need to perform continual improvement as a result of the outputs from other activities, then we will initiate improve. Okay, so these are the 6 activities of the value chain. And because the value chain is part of the value system, as you already know from the previous videos, the same inputs, we also have them here. We also have demand as an input and the same output, value. Because in the end, that is the purpose of the value chain, to respond to demand or opportunity and execute a set of activities in order to provide value on the other end to the consumers. Okay, remember about value streams? We discussed about them during the section regarding the 4 dimensions, and I've told you that value streams are similar to processes, but they operate at a higher level. Processes are very granular and they deal with very specific tasks like solving incidents and problems and dealing with changes, very specific activities. But value streams, they tend to be more generic, more high level, and they actually solve real-life business scenarios. And now we see that actually the value streams are patterns throughout the value chain. What does it mean? Well, let's see in this picture. We have an animation here, and I will try to show you some examples of value streams and what exactly do I mean by when I say that value streams are patterns throughout the value chain. For example, we could have a value stream starting with the engage activity and then going through plan, design and transition, and then through obtain or build, deliver and support, and then provide value. This could be one example of a value stream. Another example could start with plan and then go through engage and then obtain or build, deliver and support, improve, and then provide value. This could be another example. The idea is that whenever we have a specific business scenario that tends to repeat, that's a repetitive action that we need to take, it is a very good idea to define a value stream so that we gain consistency, just like with the processes. If you have a specific scenario which happens every day, you should define a value stream for it. Now, ITIL does a great job at providing an operating model at the granular level. So ITIL defines very clear, very useful processes and practices like incident management, problem management, change enablement, and so on. However, what is not described in ITIL and is not detailed are the value streams. So the value streams are up to each organization to define. So it's the job of each organization to define their own value streams. And this is the actual differentiator in the market. The better your value streams are, the more competitive advantage you will have compared to your competitors, to the other providers on the market. Because in the end, everybody's doing incident management and problem management. That's not something new anymore. But the way you're handling customer complaint can actually make the difference. So it can help you identify inefficiencies and waste of resources within the organization by working with value streams. This is why the value streams are important, and this is why in the next videos we will start discussing about the detailed activities of the value chain. But for now, some key points to remember about the value chain. First of all, for each activity of the value chain, you should remember that the inputs can come from the outside of the value chain or from other activities. And in order to convert inputs into outputs, activities need to initiate different ITIL practices. For example, when you have a customer complaint, first you could initiate incident management. And after initiating incident management, you may start working with problem management and then maybe relationship management. So each value stream will initiate some activities in the value chain, and in turn, each activity in the value chain will further initiate practices at a more granular level. And also remember that for the foundation exam, you are supposed to know and understand and remember the purpose of each activity. So there should be no confusion about the activities.